Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It is the TGIF edition. African music is highly respected around the world, especially with an infusion of our local drums, our flutes, and not forgetting Afrobeats. However, classical music is known to have its DNA and roots in the African soil. Now, this morning, our next guest has been on the road to creating a world-class stage for African talents who love classical music and want it to thrive. Now, she's the founder of Vesta Orchestra and Opera Foundation. She's also a violinist and a creator of African Classical series. You need to welcome with me Rosalyn Awelekanma Aninyei. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Wow, African classical music.
Yes, we just call it AfriClassical.
AfriClassical.
Yes.
That's a first. That's nice. So what brought about AfriClassical?
I'm happy you pointed out that classical music has its origins in the African soil, so to speak, because everything begins here, really. And we have a lot more than the world knows. And the problem is we haven't put it out in front of the world for them to see. People come to take from us and they go, you know. And so I think it's time for us to express ourselves in a way that people all over the world can hear us even better. African music is multifaceted. And this started for me in Vienna, because I felt, I lived in Vienna for over 10 years. And I lived right behind the opera house, actually. And I would go for concerts and all that, and then come home for Christmas every year and go for concerts here. And I thought to myself, well, the talent here is not less than what you have in Vienna. The thing is just the talent here doesn't have a stage. They don't have a proper stage, they don't have proper exposure, and they don't have proper support. And so coming back to Nigeria, this was my goal, to focus on the classically trained musicians, and there are lots of them, but we just don't have a home where we can present ourselves and present what we have to offer.
And you have created that stage. This is beautiful. Yes. Now, Joe, I don't know if you're listening to this, but this is fantastic. You know, when I was much younger, when I see classical displays on screen and I see them do something like this, and I'm like, okay, how do they? I mean, are they angels or something? Joe, I don't know if you ever went through that.
Oluchi, don't break it. Don't force it. I mean, don't. If you don't, honestly, stick to broadcasting. Stay there. Rosalyn has told us that from her background, she was living very close to an opera. I mean, so it's only synonymous and normal that you would want to also toe that line. But I like the fact that you're coming back to Africa. I mean, we've always wanted to hear and see classical music. But my question to you is, what is your goal with this? What do you want to achieve with this? Looking at the fact that Afrobeats has been able to buy its own space in a global front, classical music is oftentimes regarded as an international type of music, although we know it has its roots as well somewhere in Africa. So what's your goal? Let me ask that question.
The goal is a Lagos Opera House, where all of this music we're curating, which has been composed by African classical composers, including the high life composers, will be on display. And one of those composers is Samuel Ekpe Apabot, who composed a lot of high life. That's what he's known for. He worked at the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. But he composed a lot of classical music that has never been played in Nigeria. And that is what we're going to be displaying on Sunday at our concert. It's an overture for a Nigerian ballet. Can you imagine that? Yes, it's never been performed because it was published, the work was published abroad. And at the time, Nigeria didn't have any orchestras, but now we have orchestras and we have ballet schools and ballet companies. And so we're going to put it on display, again, to display the multifaceted nature of African music.
Right. Now Rosalyn, you've clearly come out to say we have the people who have that interest in this genre of music.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you have a niche. So tell us, how lucrative is it for the Nigerian market? Because I know you're talking about an event you have this weekend. Also tell us, how lucrative has it been so far?
Lucrative, it has been a struggle because we aren't yet popular, and usually you notice that people get behind popular things. But we're in Europe, because we're so niche, we will be promoted, but here it's the other way around for whatever reason, and so we have to keep at it until we get the notice we desire and we're picked off the ground and pushed up as we need to be. But I'd also say that when you talk about lucrative, there are countries like Austria, where I lived, that live off their culture because people simply come to see their culture. We have so much here, and I think it is time Nigeria started looking at culture as a treasure trove that we can display and sell if we package it properly and put it on display in a refined manner. this is where we're headed.
Beautiful.
Wow. Interesting. I love classical music, by the way, Oluchi and Rosalyn. Yes, I do. I'm a lover of classical music. Oluchi, you don't need to stretch or bend your neck like that. Stay calm. Stay calm. Anyway, Rosalyn, you have a weekend this weekend to yourself and your team, and there's an event going down this weekend. You want to tell us about that event?
Yes, it's the AfriClassical concert series. It continues at Terra Culture. We started in 2019. And then in 2020, we had a concert just before the lockdown. And so we were able to resume last year in October. And this is the second concert after the COVID lockdown. We'll have music, some high life music, some African classical, and then some ballet and opera excerpts on stage. Yes, at Terra Culture. Concert is Sunday, and it starts at 5 p.m.
Beautiful, 5 p.m. You said ballet. Are you saying adults will do those things, you know? I see them on screen. I mean, I may be bush. Yeah, are you saying they're gonna?
Yeah, we're gonna have them on stage,
and they'll be on their toes. Like, how do they?
Yeah,
true story, Lucha. I started learning ballet dancing some years.
Joe.
Rosalyn.
Yes.
Rosalyn, how can we get tickets? You know, people who are watching want to be there. Oluchi, I'll tell you about my ballet story later on.
Well, on social media, we are the Vesta Orchestra, and you'll find our telephone numbers on there for tickets. You could also buy at Terra Culture on Sunday in person. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming to the studio with us and for opening my own eyes in particular, because I mean, prior to now, I did not know that you could get classical, in fact, African classical music.
Thank you very much.
Right here in Africa. You're doing so well. Thank you so much.
Permit me to also come in. I know classical music for once also soothes the soul.
Yeah.
It makes you calm, takes care of your stress level. I think Lagosians, or particularly a lot of people who are stressed out, need classical music. But Rosalyn, I also found out that you play the violin.
Yes, I do.
Are you that fantastic or amazing? Are you able to teach someone? Maybe the lady sitting next to you?
I'm able to.
Joe, just call the name now. Let's know who you're shooting the shot at.
Rosalyn, tell us about your career as a violinist.
Well, I was actually in finance. I worked in treasury of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and then at the Bank of Brazil in corporate governance. But I always studied music on the side. I think the musicians in the orchestra are more advanced than I am in that sense. I learn a lot from them. But music has always been a passion because I grew up with it. And this has always been important. It was always important to my parents. And so I played the piano as a child and then the violin. And after living in Vienna for a while, I decided it was time to come home and begin this journey with other musicians in Lagos.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, this is such a laudable thing you are doing in Nigeria here. Thank you for bringing this back home, and thank you for being on our show. You are the founder of Vesta Orchestra and the Orchestra Foundation, Rosalyn Awelekanma Aninyei. All the best.
See you on Sunday.
Yes, see you on Sunday.